Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I hope you are having a peaceful and wonderful day. Today I want to tell you the story of a quiet social worker in Poland who risked her life again and again to save children she had never met, and whose story remained largely unknown to the world for more than 50 years. Today, she is remembered as one of the most courageous rescuers of the Second World War. Her name was Irena Sendler. When people study the history of the Second World War, they often focus on generals, battles, and world leaders. But some of the most remarkable acts of courage came from ordinary people working quietly, often in complete secrecy. How did one Polish social worker manage to save the lives of more than 2,000 children while facing constant danger of arrest, torture, and death? Let's find out together. Before we begin, if you enjoy learning English through stories, please subscribe to Everstory English. Your support helps us create more stories for your English learning journey. Irena Sendler was born in 1910 in Warsaw, Poland. Her father was a doctor who treated poor patients, including many in the Jewish community, often without charging any payment. He believed strongly in helping others, regardless of their background or religion. He passed away from illness when Irena was still young, but his example of quiet compassion stayed with her for the rest of her life. As a young woman, Irena studied social work and became deeply committed to helping vulnerable people. When the Second World War began and Germany invaded Poland, life changed dramatically. In 1940, German forces forced the Jewish population of Warsaw into a small, sealed section of the city known as the Warsaw Ghetto. Conditions inside were terrible. Families were crowded into small spaces. Food was scarce, and disease spread quickly. Thousands of people, including many children, faced starvation and death. Irena worked for the social welfare department of the city, which gave her a special pass, allowing her to enter the ghetto, officially to check for outbreaks of disease. She used this access for a much more dangerous purpose. She began smuggling food, medicine, and clothing into the ghetto. But soon, she realized that survival for many children would require something far more drastic: getting them out entirely. Working secretly with a small network of trusted friends, Irena began smuggling children out of the Warsaw Ghetto. Some children were carried out in boxes, sacks, or ambulances. Others were led through underground sewer systems or secret passages between buildings. Every rescue carried enormous risk, not only for Irena, but for the families who trusted her with their children's lives, often knowing they might never see them again. Once children were safely outside the ghetto, Irena arranged for them to be placed with Polish families, in orphanages, or in convents, often under new, non-Jewish names to protect their identities. But Irena made a quiet decision that would later become one of the most important parts of her story. She carefully recorded the real names of each child, along with their new identity and location, on small pieces of paper. She placed these lists inside glass jars and buried them in a garden, hoping that one day, after the war, the children could be reunited with their families or, at the very least, remember who they truly were. In 1943, Irena's secret work was discovered. She was arrested by the German authorities and taken for interrogation. She endured brutal treatment, her legs and feet severely injured, but she refused to reveal the names or locations of the children she had saved. She was sentenced to death. On the day of her planned execution, members of the resistance network bribed a guard, and Irena was secretly released, though German records falsely listed her as executed. She spent the rest of the war in hiding, continuing her rescue work in secret whenever possible. After the war ended, Irena dug up the buried jars. Using the hidden lists, she and others worked to try to reunite surviving children with relatives who had survived. Tragically, most of the children's parents had not survived the war. Still, the recovered names allowed many children to eventually learn the truth about their origins. For decades after the war, Irena's story remained almost entirely unknown outside a small circle of historians. Under the post-war communist government in Poland, her wartime work was not widely publicized, and she rarely spoke publicly about what she had done. It was not until the late 1990s, when a group of American high school students researched her story for a school history project, that her remarkable actions finally became known to the wider world. Irena Sendler passed away in 2008 at the age of 98. By the end of her life, she had received international recognition, including nominations for the Nobel Peace Prize. Yet she always insisted that she was not a hero. She often said that she could have done more, and that saving each individual child was simply what any decent person should do. So what can we learn from Irena Sendler? We learn that true courage often happens quietly, without recognition or reward. We learn that even in the darkest circumstances, individual choices to help others can create ripples that last for generations. And we learn that a single, determined person, working carefully and bravely, can change the course of many lives. Today, as we learn English together, we are practicing patience and quiet persistence, much like Irena Sendler practiced throughout her life. Meaningful progress does not always come with recognition or applause. Often, it comes through small, steady, careful efforts, repeated day after day. Just as Irena believed that saving even one life mattered deeply, we can believe that every small step in learning, every new word, every practiced sentence, truly matters. Thank you for listening to this story today. I hope you enjoyed learning about Irena Sendler, and I hope this story helped you improve your English. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and join us for more timeless stories on Everstory English. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, and keep growing with Everstory English.